This episode of Speak Now, Hold Your Peace is brought to you in part by Green Sister Botanicals, plant based hair and body care. Visit Green Sister.
She's good. She's good.
Anytime there's a shooting, people are saying, we need more gun control law.
That's just human nature.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace, a live broadcast with real conversations about community social issues, politics, business, health, self-care, and more. We broadcast live on the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace Facebook group and the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace YouTube channel. And now, here's your host, Say What I Feel, Dre.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace. And today I have some serious information about credit. And that is something that we all want to improve on. That's something that, that's up there with being healthy, having good credit. So I know nothing about the details of improving your credit and all of that. So, I had to bring in a very, very heavy hitter. Okay. I got a heavy hitter. She's a heavy hitter. I mean, she knows what she's talking about, y'all. Y'all see. So I got Markia Brown in the building. Markia, what's going on?
What's up? Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited to talk to you and your followers.
It's good to see you on here. I'm glad I got you. Just so you guys know, the viewers know, I saw Markia's videos and stuff like that, and she, I seen her do an interview with someone else. I checked out her website, and it seems very thorough. So I figure, why not get on the show? Because so many people would like to improve their credit. And sometimes, it's not always just that your credit is bad. It's just that you just want to make it better. You got a nice car, it's clean. Next week, you're going to wind up taking it to the car wash. Even though it look clean, you still want to make it look nice. You still want to keep it where it's at. So same with your credit. You just want to keep it up there and improve it. So we're going to start right now. And I'm going to start out by, probably asking some basic questions, and then we're going to get into some other stuff. Feel free to comment. Some of the comments will come through. Most of the comments will come through, and then we'll put them up there if need be, if she didn't answer the question yet. So, Markia, first question: what is the purpose of a credit score? Because I get that a lot, and people are like, "Oh, well, that's a number. It's a number," but it's a deep number like Social Security. So, what is the purpose of a credit score, Markia?
It's funny that you mention your social security number because a credit score is used extremely similarly to your social security number. A credit score is a lot more than just what's used to buy a car. Your credit is often checked when you apply for a job. Car insurance, they check your credit. Like literally, and it's sad to say, but in America, without credit, you won't be able to get anything. The concept of owing people, especially in the Black and Brown communities, like I was raised, if you can't afford it with your money, don't use somebody else's. And unfortunately, that's the wrong way to go about it because you can't build a proper credit score without owing a couple people a little bit of money. So I'm really hoping that, interviews like this one and, the different people that I've been talking to, I'm hoping to really kind of open everybody's minds to the concept of owing debt and owing people, because it's not always a bad thing.
Right. So when it comes to that credit score, and I've been guilty of doing this too, due to the lack of knowledge, I think I was in college. I don't know, maybe after college, but I would check my credit score with, I think it was Equifax. That was it. Like, okay, Equifax, it says I'm this and that, but there were other ones out there. So what are the major three credit reporting agencies?
Okay, so I call them my big three.
Okay.
They're Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Okay.
Literally, there's over 300 businesses that provide credit reports or reports that people can use for these items. It's just that the three are the ones that everybody kind of go to look at your overall credit worthiness. Now, there another report that gets like an honorable mention is LexisNexis. But that reports a lot more than just your credit worthiness. Any address you ever lived in life, anything you ever bought on credit, like even if it's past the reporting period, any job you've ever had, a phone number, even if you only had that phone number for a week, I promise you it's on there. If you
Hmm.
don't learn nothing else from this live, everybody needs to pull their LexisNexis report at least once a year. It's completely free. You just go on the website and pull it.
Right. Let me ask you this, before I ask my next question, who gives the, like, I always wonder who gives the authority to just get all this information, and like who made this person, who made Equifax or LexisNexis, or who made them the authority on taking my information or anybody's information, and just keep like reporting it and all of that stuff. Can anybody do that, or it's just a certain agency?
So it's not even an agency. It's not government owned. It's all privately owned. That's why there's no
Hmm.
like super specific, like if somebody asks you how is a FICO score calculated, there's no like true answer because it's a secret. It's a privately owned company. The FICO score was created for businesses, not even technically for consumers. It was created for businesses as a way for them to quickly gauge whether or not they would issue someone a loan or give someone a job. It's literally just the score is just a snapshot of everything else that's comprised in your report.
Hmm.
There has been a lot of talk on Capitol Hill about creating an agency. Due to COVID, the credit issue isn't just an issue in Black and Brown communities no more. Now everybody else is affected. So of course now it's a major problem. So now the government wants to step in and try to control it. Um,
Yeah.
Especially, Joe Biden's kind of pandering to us and saying it'll be a good move for us because it'll kind of close the gap. But truth be told, if it was to happen while he's in office, it's going to take at least another 10 years for them to even nail down the concept
Hmm.
because that's how long, FICO scores have been around for decades. So to unravel that whole system and to create one out of nothing, that's going to take entirely too long. And unfortunately, we won't even be able to benefit from it.
Right. Wow. That's deep. Hmm. Interesting. Let me ask you this: what's a good credit score? Because I hear, um, I've always thought, I mean, I know a little bit better now, but I always thought it had to be like way up there. And there were times where, um, and even in college, my score was like, I don't know, like, it's this and that. Like, this is bad. It's not 800 or seven, whatever. So that means it's just bad. It's either good. It's either good or bad. There's no middle. What's a good credit score?
So I'm super glad that you asked that question because I want everybody to hear me real good when I say this. Stop focusing on the score and
Okay.
focus on the report. A lot of people get caught up in the score and it will cause unnecessary anxiety because your score fluctuates all the time with all the different things that are going on. Anything over 750, there's nothing that you can apply for that you won't get. Anything over 750 is truly cosmetic. I've never seen somebody over 750 get denied for something.
Hmm.
Yes, you could probably get like I've seen people get like 2% interest rates with that kind of credit score, whereas they're like, I have to have an 850. You don't have
Wow.
to aim that high. You know what they say, like shoot for the moon, you'll land in the stars. So anything over 750 is ideal. But to be honest, it's all about your profile because there are often times where you qualify for things you might not meet the score that you think you need, but your profile has enough in it that it'll kind of carry you over, if that makes sense.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. In terms of the credit score, I, what makes up the credit score? Like, is it revolving accounts? Does that count more, or is it you know uh accounts that, like credit cards and stuff like that? Which one counts? What is the percentage, or which one counts the most in terms of its
So it's
overall
a good
consideration?
mixture. Credit cards kind of they will fall under revolving accounts.
Hmm.
So you're gonna want to, so like, okay, so this kind of ties into the last question you asked me. I always tell people you want to have at least three credit cards. You want to have one short-term loan and one long-term loan. And the reason why is because that kind of encompasses everything that calculates your credit score as a whole. So like, okay, so for example, payment history, on-time payment history is super important because your payment history is 35% of your credit score. So whereas, let's say you only have one card, and that one card has kind of been carrying your score, but then you have that one late payment that has the possibility of tanking your entire credit. Like, even though it's one small thing, because it's the part of your credit report that holds the most weight, that really, really can affect you. Obviously, the older a late payment is, the less of an effect it has on your credit report, but it packs a huge punch.
Mhm.
Next would be your credit utilization. And this is the part that a lot of people kind of fall victim to. Like, how can I explain this? Credit utilization is all the credit you have available to you that you aren't using. So if I have a card with a $1,000 credit limit, a lot of
Mhm.
people will look online and it'll tell you that you need to be using 30%. If you have less than a 750 credit score, you're definitely going to want to stay under 10%. I tell all my clients you want to stay between 1 and 3% because you want to leave a balance on the card so that they're collecting interest from you, because the more money they make off of you, the more willing they are to give you more credit, if that makes sense. You'll start seeing the credit limit increases and things like that. But you also don't want them making too much money off of you, and you want to control how many points you get from that section. So 1 to 3% is kind of like the golden area, but 10% is really what you want to stay under.
Okay.
After that, length of credit history is 15%. So how long are these accounts open? This only really goes for revolving accounts, so your credit cards or lines of credit, because other things like installment loans, obviously they have terms. Short-term loans are things like between a year, 2 years. So like if you like got furniture from like Rent a Center, you're paying it off, errands. Short-term loans like self lender, that's a big one that I recommend to my clients. And then long-term loans are like student loans, car loans, things like that, that you're paying for an extended period of time. Usually like 36 months or more is what a long-term loan is.
Mm.
You really want to, whatever credit cards you get, you want to keep it open as long as possible. They always tell you about the maturity of an account. An account really isn't mature until about 4 years. That's when it's like hit the maximum amount of points that you can really get from the age of that account. Anything under 4 years is still considered new.
Mm.
Um, New credit isn't reliable because obviously you haven't had it this long. So it's not really an accurate view of your credit worthiness. You just got this account. So of course you're going to pay it on time because you want to look good. What about accounts that you've had longer than 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? You know what I'm saying? So that really plays a part in your credit as well. And then the last two sections are mix of accounts and inquiries. You get an inquiry whenever you apply for something using your credit. They always have to have your permission to run your credit. So a lot of times you'll go to a car dealership, and if you don't show up with a pre-approval, they'll run your credit like 100,000 times to find
Mm.
somebody to give you a car. They get paid to do that, which is why they do that. Unfortunately, when you put all those inquiries on your credit report, you're hurting it because that makes you look unworthy. Why did you have to run your credit this many times? Is it something we don't see just by looking at your score? Do we need to take a closer look at your profile? You
Mhm.
have to be really careful with that. And then
Right.
with mix of accounts, that goes back to what I said previously. You want to have at least 3 credit cards, one short-term loan, and one long-term loan. That shows that you're well-rounded as a consumer. They want to know that you pay all of your bills, not just these over these or this over that. You get what I'm saying? So
Right. Right.
these all together, these things tie into what's called your FICO score. And like I said, it's like a social security number. When you pop up, the first thing they're going to look at is your score. And if it's not where they want it to be, they're going to pass and go somewhere else. Or
Mm.
like if they see like you're right there, they might take a closer look at your profile to see what's on there that's holding you back. Is it something old? Have you turned your life around? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And if it's
Yeah.
something that they can look past, they'll go ahead and give you whatever you ask for.
Right. Right. Wow. That's interesting what you said about the car dealership, because I've known people to go to car dealerships and they'll go there like 3 p.m. and don't get out of there until 7 because they looking for banks. So I guess I didn't even think about that. They were running all of those credit checks on on that person, like just to see what they can get, and that's crazy. But I never realized that. I guess the longer you stay in there, I guess is that was like that's what takes the time up in credit in dealerships finding
Mhm.
the bank, and because once you get the loan, paperwork is not it's real quick or whatever. But that's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. Let me ask you this, and this is a question I've been dying to know. I kind of know, but I don't. I want clarity. Um, what is the difference between soft inquiry and like a hard inquiry? Like, because I know they'll be like, oh, we're gonna run a soft inquiry, a soft credit.
Let me tell you something. Soft pulls, um, if you go to a car dealership and they tell you they're gonna do a soft pull, it's a lie. The only people who do soft pulls are people who like offer you so like if you get a pre-approval, that means they did a soft pull on your credit report to kind of see maybe you qualify. They won't be able to see your whole profile. They'll probably see bits and pieces. And that'll determine if they even extend you an offer for pre-approval. Um, or let's say you check your credit karma. That's a soft pull. A soft pull other people won't see. The only person who can see all of the soft pulls on your account is you, depending on what credit monitoring service that you use. Those don't count against you as far as your credit score. That's the biggest difference. Nobody can see it but you. And then it doesn't take any points away by having a lot of soft pulls. Um, when you check your credit, that's a soft pull. And you can have as many as you want. And it, like I said, it won't affect. Now, a hard inquiry, that's usually when you're putting in a formal application for credit. So, when you're looking for a car, when you're applying for a credit card, when you're looking for a home loan, those usually require hard inquiries and those count against you. They stay on your credit for 2 years. But normally, after the first year, it won't affect your credit score. But they typically fall off after 2 years.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. Wow. Let me ask you this: if someone files for bankruptcy, and let's just say after what is it, 7 years,
10 years for bankruptcy.
10 years. So after 10 years, does that person score? Like, where does it start?
It all depends on how they rebuild. A lot of people think that just filing the bankruptcy is kind of like a reset button. It's really not. Because if you don't, and I tell people all the time, in order to change where you are, you have to change the mindset that got you there. So a lot of people file for bankruptcy and they don't understand that they're going to end up in the same predicament they started in because they did not change their mindset. And so it's all about how you rebuild once you file for bankruptcy. You can still build credit while you're in your bankruptcy. A lot of people will get secured cards and kind of start off that way. That way, by the time the bankruptcy falls off, their credit profile is in a very solid state. They don't have any late payments. All of the old accounts will be gone. Things like that. But it's literally like all about how you rebuild after you file for bankruptcy. Once they say, all right, it's granted, you need to be on the ball with making sure you have the right accounts, making the right moves to kind of set yourself up so that after 10 years, you're not looking at yourself like, where did the time go?
right, right. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like once if you're in bankruptcy, you can get secure credit cards, and that will build your credit. I thought that started after the 10 years, but that's good to know.
Oh, yes, you
Wow, I
can
didn't know
definitely
that.
do it before the 10 years. I've seen people who bought homes with bankruptcies on their credit. I know for FHA loans, I think someone told me you have to wait about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
But you can still build credit with a bankruptcy because they don't want to punish you. It's not a punishment. It's just time for you to really kind of reassess your finances, your goals, your mindset, and then move forward with a better plan than you had last time.
Right, right, makes sense. What is the Fair Credit Reporting Act?
That's my Bible. I have it on my Kindle. I be passing it out at events. Like, there's no reason that you as a consumer should not know what the Fair Credit Reporting Act is. This is the consumer laws that protect you. So it's literally like we call it the Miranda rights of credit because it tells you everything you need to know. I'm talking when debt collectors can call you, what they're allowed to say to you, what they're not allowed to say to you. A lot of people don't know that they're only allowed to call you within a certain amount, like a certain time period in your time zone, not theirs. So it doesn't matter if they're in California and you're in Virginia, that plays no bearing in it. It covers abusive language. Um, if they call you too many times, it even covers how I run my business. As a credit repair organization, there's a section in the FCRA called CROA, or the Credit Repair Organizations Act. So if you're ever looking into hiring a credit specialist, you need to make sure that they are CROA compliant. And if they can't tell you what that is, they are not the specialist for you. It literally outlines how I'm allowed to run my business because my business is technically regulated by the government. I can't make any guarantees. I cannot say I guarantee you this credit score in this amount of time. That's illegal. I can't tell you to waive your rights. That's illegal. There's so many gems in this document. I'm all over TikTok telling people like you need to read this. There's no reason that you are an adult using credit and not really understanding the power that you have. And this document will really, really help you understand.
Right, right. That's good to know too, because a lot of people don't know and don't know
It's
their
free.
rights.
It's
And
completely free online.
yeah,
And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can download it for free there too.
okay, yeah, we gotta. I'll put the link on my website. I'll do that after the show. That's good to know. Um, in terms of the credit report, um, how does FICO and Equifax and all the rest of them, how do they get your payment history? Is it that the creditors report it to them? And if that's
Yes.
the case, can anybody do that? Like, can I report if somebody didn't, if I own a house and somebody didn't pay their rent, can I report them to?
Yeah. So how it works is these companies pay the bureaus to provide so that they can provide information to this. Like they want people to see how good or how bad you are. So they pay to provide this information on a monthly basis to the bureaus. Now, when you have an item that goes into collections, I see this all the time with like landlords who take tenants to court and they get judgments put on them. Judgments will populate on your credit report. Let's say how do I explain it? So let's say somebody owes you money and a company comes up to you like, hey, I'll buy that debt from you. Um, I won't give you as much as they owe you, but I'll pay you for it. And you sell it to them because you're like, okay, I mean, they're not going to pay me anyway, so I might as well just get whatever I can get off of it. So now a debt collection company has bought the debt. They report to the credit bureaus because they know if they report to the bureaus, you're going to pay because nobody wants that on their credit. A collection account on your credit is huge in not getting you the things that you're asking for, jobs, loans, et cetera, et cetera. Like there are jobs that will tell you you're gonna have to go somewhere else or apply somewhere else, banks, police officers, because they're scared that you're gonna go against them because you're in a bind. And so that's why they report to the credit bureaus to force you to pay. That's the incentive. If you want good credit, you're gonna pay me my money.
Right, right.
Now, I do know for businesses specifically, there is a program with Dun and Bradstreet where if you have a business and you're trying to build business credit and the person that you have an account with, for, like, let's say you have a line of credit with like a mom and pop shop and they don't report. Dun and Bradstreet has a program that you would pay for every month where you could report your own payment history. So I know that's really cool on the business credit side. Now, personal credit, I haven't heard nothing like that yet. A lot of people try with Experian Boost. And then I know Jay-Z was in development with something similar where you could use like rental history and like paying your utilities and phone bills, things that don't normally report unless they're negative. He's in works to like make it so that it will report to the bureaus. It's not out yet, and Experian Boost is actually frowned upon because they feel like it gives you an inflated credit score, especially because it's only with Experian, but it is in the works. So I just tell everybody to be patient because something is coming to really help those of us who don't have that many accounts reporting.
Right, right. Let me switch this up a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your services in terms of when you get a client, do you find many of them coming to you? Are they what's their I guess like what's the body language? How do you read them? Are they embarrassed about talking about their credit score?
Yes. A lot of people are embarrassed to talk about credit. And so for me and my brand, the biggest thing is I want people to feel comfortable with me. That's why I do all the silly videos on TikTok, Instagram and things like that. I want people to laugh, smile. Having bad credit doesn't make you a bad person. Something else that I like to do is Zoom calls. Instead of doing phone calls, whenever I have someone sign up for my services, I set up a Zoom call. And it's not like I always tell people when you do these calls that you're not obligated to sign up for a service with me. But this call is super important because like you said in the beginning, a lot of people don't have bad credit. They just don't know. So it's called a credit audit. I call it an audit and we literally sit down. I make you laugh. I make you smile. I try to put you at ease with my body language. I, sometimes I tell my story because that makes people feel a little bit better. And I want you to make this a part of normal conversation. That's all my brand is about, is making it a part of regular conversation. I should be able to walk up to my homeboys and be like, all right, what's your credit score looking like this week, yo? Like, what you working on? You need help? Like, what you struggling with? Stuff like I want this to be a part of normal conversations, because unfortunately schools don't teach this. Public
Right.
schools are not teaching the things that we genuinely need to know. So it's up to us as Black people who have all of these different avenues and these creative outlets. We need to get it out there. And in my head, like when I came up with this, if I can put it on as many social media platforms, internet groups, Reddit, blogs, if I can get as many places as possible and put myself where these people are, then they don't have to look for it. They'll
Mm-hmm.
just see it. And if
Mm-hmm.
you see it everywhere, you'll be more comfortable talking about it everywhere. So like that was kind of like the thought process with it. I really want people to be comfortable because it's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Right.
I mean, we've all made bad decisions, so
Absolutely.
it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely. They come to you. Let me ask you this. This is let's just say they have something on they come to you. They have something on their credit report that they paid for this is two questions, like a two-part question. They have something on their credit report that they paid, and it's still on their report, but it's reported as paid. Does that affect paid? It says paid in full or
It
whatever.
does.
Does it
It
affect your
does.
credit?
Yes. So now you might not see a change in your score, but it actually helps, especially for those of you who are looking to buy a home. Now, remember, I was telling you about the different FICO scores. There are like a lot of different scores. There's Vantage scores, which is what you'll see on like Credit Karma. Then there's your FICO 2, your FICO 4, and FICO 5. We call those mortgage scores. And then there's FICO 8, FICO 9, that's usually used for like credit cards and auto loans. Well, FICO 2, 4, and 5 are really, really hard on late payments, collection accounts, and then like charge-offs.
Mm.
Now, there are people who have charge-offs. It happens. It's when you don't pay a credit card or they close an account and you still have a balance. Um, if you pay that balance down, it's actually more beneficial for you when you're looking for a home and stuff like that, as opposed to leaving the balance there or allowing it to go into collections. They look for things like that. So if they look and see that you have charge-offs, they will specifically look to see if the charge-off is paid. If you've ever went to talk to a lender, they will definitely say, hey, you need to pay this down, pay this off, because it often counts against your debt to income, or just it's really unsightly on your credit report.
Okay. And if they don't pay it off, how long will it stay on there?
So there's two dates you need to know about when things are reporting on your credit report. There's the reporting time, and then there's the statute of limitations. So the reporting time is typically 7 to 10 years, depending on what the items is. Remember, I said 10 years for bankruptcy. It's normally 7 years for regular accounts. And that starts from it literally will tell you what it is on your credit report. When you pull your credit report, it'll tell you when it will fall off. Obviously, revolving accounts will keep reporting, but installment loans will have that expiration date, and it will tell you when it will expire. Now, your statute of limitations is something different. So this applies to those with like charge-offs or collection accounts. On your credit report, when you pull it, you'll see something that says like the date of last activity or the date last updated. We usually call it a DOLA date. Now, what that means is when the last time they updated your account in the system. Now, every time that account is updated, it restarts the statute of limitations, and that's how long they have to sue you. Now, that varies state by state. And on my Instagram, I do have like a post up where people can comment their states, and I'll try to help them out and tell them what the statute of limitations are for their state. But that varies. So whereas something always will report for 7 years, some states like Texas, they only have 4 years to sue you per the date of last activity. So if the date of last activity is like 2012 and it's 2020, oh girl, that was supposed to come off a long time ago. And even if it is still like, say something from, I'll say 5 years ago. There was something from 5 years ago and it's still reporting, but they can't sue you, so you're not obligated to pay it. But they'll keep reporting it to try to encourage you to go ahead and handle it. But they can't sue you. So a lot of people be like, oh, I'm over it. I'll just wait for it to fall off.
Right. Wow. Wow. Interesting. That's interesting. I've heard, I don't know anybody who did this, but I've heard, people talk about it. I've heard where one person, they were married. One person, he didn't have good credit. Well, she didn't have good credit. He had good credit. She didn't have good credit, but he had excellent credit. So he he had her as an authorized user. Now, does that help? And what are the
Okay,
drawbacks to that?
yes, I love it. So this is something I actually encourage for my parents. Parents who really want to help their children, kind of set them up for success. I always encourage that they put their children on as authorized users. Now, you only want to do it on cards, credit cards specifically, that have no late payments and pretty low utilization. I always say if you don't have a card already that has no late payments, you can get one. Maybe put like Apple Music on it, and then put it on auto pay, just to start building that credit for your kid. But that is huge. Now, it won't affect the credit of the person who owns the card. That's very important to distinguish because an authorized user and a joint account holder are two different things. But for the person who is the authorized user, it'll give them all of the history tied to the card, and it'll really help boost their score because clearly you know what you're doing with your credit, and you're making the right choices with this card. So it's nothing but up for them as far as this. I never suggest doing this with a stranger. This is also what's considered a trade line. People will pay people to put them on for a certain amount of time on their credit cards. I never suggest trade lines because that's like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. You're not hurt fixing the problem. You're just kind of putting a pretty little pitch on it. But I always suggest this for if it's somebody in your family and they're really putting in the work to change their situation and to really kind of turn things around. This is definitely a really good tool for them to use.
Okay. Okay. And that could hurt them as well if that person's not paying, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. If they're not, but the thing about being an authorized user is that you can be removed from the account and the account will disappear.
Okay. And so let's just say that happens. You're on there and they get bad credit, they start late payments and stuff. Once they get off,
It will erase the whole account. So all of the positive history that
oh,
was associated with it as well. This is why it's important to make sure that if you get added on as an authorized user, you're still doing the proper things to make sure that you're building up a solid profile behind that. Because once that's gone, and eventually it will go away, once it's gone, you'll really be able to stand on your own 2 feet because you have that solid, that set the foundation for you to really build off of.
hmm,
But you don't really want to just have that and then nothing else because then when it's gone, you'll have nothing.
right, right. If you, I had recently asked you about if you have like something on your credit and you paid it off. I asked, did it help or did it help or hinder? And you said it did help. What what happens if does it still help if you have something on there that you paid but you didn't pay, like you owed $800 and they
And it
said
says
okay,
paid for less than agreed.
yes, does that hurt?
Okay. It don't hurt, but it ain't pretty.
Okay.
And I really want to clarify my earlier statement, and I should have did it then. It's bad on me. But when I was speaking specifically about like charge-offs.
Okay.
Those are the ones that I find that people typically are like, look, I really don't want to pay this, but if I have to, I will. When it comes
Hmm.
to collection accounts, those are different. So collection accounts are like the worst thing you can have on your credit, other than like uh a bunch of late payments. Like whenever it's a collection, no matter what the amount is, it's always going to it's going to tank your score if you don't have something to cushion the fall. The only way to get the points back is to have that collection account removed. Now, FICO 8 and FICO 9 are a little bit more forgiving as far as collection accounts, like paying it down to zero or whatever the case may be, may give you like a couple of points back. But FICO 2, 4, and 5, which are your mortgage scores, they're a lot harder on collection accounts. So paying it down won't do nothing. They're gonna want you to erase it. That's the only way to get it out of to get those points back. One way to do it is with a pay to delete offer. Whereas that's where you call the company. I never suggest doing it over the phone. I say get it in writing because anything in writing is a legal obligation. And you pretty much say, hey, I'll give you this money if you agree to erase this off of my credit report. Stop reporting that it was ever an account. Some people, I have a list of people who, they'll agree to it. And some people are like, no. And if that's the case, then you have no choice but to kind of pay it down to zero if you really want your profile to be pretty, is what we call it. If you want a pretty profile, you're going to want to pay it down to zero. You really
Right.
don't want to leave it as a balance because what can happen is they can keep selling that debt. So it will keep repopulating as a collection until it's paid.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you this. Let me set this up. I'm gonna tell you this. So
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
when I had when I first got a car, I had it, it was a hoopty or whatever. I'm driving in the hood, I'm like, yeah, what up, whatever. It's all good. Yeah, bam, bam. You know, horn worked a little bit sometimes. Some days it didn't. So I had to go get it inspected, right? So
hmm
the engine light was on. And I'm like, they're not going to pass me. I know they're not going to pass me. They failed me. So what I did was I was in line for inspection. And what I did was while I was in line, popped the hood, disconnected the battery, then put the battery back on. That light didn't come on. I think I had an hour. So while I was getting inspected, you know, even I just put the battery on, so I passed because the engine light wasn't coming back on yet. I had an hour before it came back on because it had to reset. So with that said, is it not a good idea, because you probably shouldn't say that, but have you ever seen anybody like do a dispute on their credit knowing that it's
Yes.
yours?
I knew you were
It's
about to ask me
yours.
this, and yes. All right,
Yeah.
so let me tell you. Let me set the stage. All right, so beginning of the year, right, when Clubhouse was a big thing,
Uh-huh.
there was all of these rooms with thousands of people in it, and they were supposed to be giving everybody the game, right, on how to fix your own credit. You don't need to hire nobody, just do it this way. And it was this app called Upturn, and everybody was using Upturn to dispute. And as their dispute, they would put that the item was in litigation. And there was a lady who did it. She marked every negative thing as in litigation, and rightfully so, it deleted, because per the FCRA, they are not allowed to report items that have not been validated. So because you put that it was in litigation, they can't validate it. So it fell off. She did the thing, got approved for a home loan. Was her closing got pushed back? I think it was like a month. And that 1 month, right before her new closing date, all the stuff started popping back up on her credit, and she lost
Wow.
her home. And I tell people this all the time. Like, first of all, I tell people all the time, stop disputing online. Hands down, like one of the worst things you could do for yourself, because you're kind of waiving some of the rights given to you by the FCRA when you do that. But doing things like that, when you're trying to circumvent the system and when you're trying to get ahead by getting over, it never works out in your favor. One thing I pride myself on is being 100% honest with people. I'm super transparent. And yes, there are probably people out there who will help you get over, who will help you cheat the system, cheat codes, whatever you need. I am not one of those people. And I pride myself on that, because what you won't do is go back on social media and tell everybody how it didn't work for you. My systems are ethical and they are legal, because I do believe in karma. And I believe, like, you know what I'm saying, it's only but so much getting over you can do before that stuff really turns back and kind of bites you in the butt. And I just really wanted no parts of that. So there might be people out there for you. And this is another reason why I require audits, because like when I'm talking to people and they tell me their goals, I'm not gonna dissuade you from whatever it is. You can come to me with a 400 credit score and be like, I want to buy a house next week. I'm not gonna say you can't do it, but what I am gonna say is that I'm not the one that's gonna get you there. I have a cute little list of people I would recommend you to, but I'm not the person for you, you know. And it's crazy that this is even a thing, but unfortunately there are many people out there who just don't want to put the work in. But something that we always tell people is that you didn't mess your credit up overnight. It wasn't one thing that kind of just ruined it for you. So you have to give yourself that grace and that patience to kind of get through to the other side. Like, just see it through the right way, and you'll never have to go through this again.
Right. That makes sense. Listen, y'all. I hope y'all listening to this. You know, if you ain't here to catch this live, you need to catch the replay, because this is some good information, and I appreciate you giving up this information. This is real good information, and we just gonna keep going. One thing I've always done, Markia, I've always stayed in my lane. If I can't do it,
I'm gonna
I'll
tell
get
you
somebody.
who can.
Exactly. I'm not going to sit here and try to do it. Like everything, you know, even with this stuff, like this video stuff, and it's going live. Thank God I know how to do a lot of this stuff, but if there's something that comes up and I can't do it, you best believe I'm going to try to get somebody to do it who knows what they're doing. Because, you know, all I'm going to do is mess myself up
Right.
if I try to do something crazy. Now, you got some people who be like, you know, I can fix my own credit. He told me what to do. But then there's the small things that you don't know, these small little laws that maybe can help you out. Do you think do you think people what's the dangers or the risk of people trying to fix it themselves and not having all the knowledge that you have?
You you know what's so crazy? I actually encourage people to do it themselves. But I'm always around for if you need help. I actually have a Facebook group. It's called Plugged In, the Credit Clubhouse. You'll see my logo big as day. And pretty much it's literally a group full of people fixing their credit themselves with me as like their backup. So like, I'm the hype man, I'm the Flavor Flav. You putting in the work, you doing everything, but as soon as you see something you don't know, you can tap me in and I got you. I'm right there behind you, rooting for you, telling you what you need to know. And the reason why I encourage people to do it themselves, but with the right information, is because I feel like you appreciate it more when you do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, yeah, people spend money and it's so funny because people are like, but you get paid to do this. And I understand. Trust me, I get it. It is a business at the end of the day. But I didn't do this just for the money. It's more so I want to put the power back into our hands. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
and
right,
if me teaching you how to do it yourself, you'll go teach your cousin and they'll tell a friend and they'll tell a sister. And if that's what it takes, you know what I'm saying, to change the world one person at a time, I'm all for it.
yeah, yeah,
Credit repair is one of those businesses that don't have to be making the money that they make.
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's literally due to a lack of education. And so on all of my social media platforms, as many interviews as I can, I partner with a couple different school districts. I try to put out as much information as possible so that people can do it on their own. There's
Mm-hmm.
no reason you can't. You just don't because you won't put the work in to learn this stuff. That's
Right,
literally what it is.
right, right. Wow. I'm gonna switch up a little bit in terms of um your credit score. Uh, is it a big difference on how much? Let's just say someone with a 750 credit score applies for a credit card, and someone with a 650 applies for one. Do they put limits? Your credit limits. Does that have a factor in your score?
Yes,
I
it
know
it it,
sometimes
it affects whether like which card you qualify for. Some, a lot of card companies offer multiple cards. Like Capital One has like 5 or 6 cards. Excuse me, and so does Discover. So like the lower your score, the less cards you qualify for, and the lower your credit limit will be. I always tell people, stay in your lane. If you got a 600 credit score, you shouldn't be looking at American Express. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like
right.
always look at what the requirements are before you apply. And if you're not sure where you stand, secured cards are always the way to go. I hear a lot of people giving incorrect information and saying that, you shouldn't get secured cards because the limits are low. And yes, the limits are low, but the on-time payment history that you could be building with with these cards can help you get to that next card that you want.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Good. So all of y'all who are viewing, and if you got like a 650 score, stay in your lane.
Yes,
Don't
stay in your
don't go.
lane because you're gonna get your feelings hurt
Yeah.
and waste the inquiry.
See, what's gonna happen is you're gonna run up in that party, right? And everybody gonna be dressed to impress, and you gonna have them, and you gonna have some Timbs on and some jeans, and you thought it was a party? Nah, it's a dinner, yo. So stay in your lane, stay where you at, and just take it easy, all right?
Matter of fact, I got my top three. My top three for people who are under a 700. All right. So Self Lender is a program that you pay into. You pay into the savings account every month, and at the end, you get a check for all the money you paid into it, right? And it's a huge tool for people who are rebuilding their credit because it will report as an installment loan. But they have a credit card. You just have to have an open account with them. You need to make 3 payments and have at least $100 paid into the savings account, and you qualify for a credit card with them automatically. It don't matter what your score is.
Wow.
So that's one that I love to recommend to people. Everybody laugh at what I'm about to say next, but low key, y'all don't even know what y'all laughing at. So Chime has a credit builder credit card. Everybody be laughing at people with Chime cards, but if you laughing, that means you behind the curve because Chime is doing amazing things for banking. If you have a debit account with them, you get paid like 2 days early.
Oh wow.
And you have to have an open account with them, and you have to have at least, I think it's two direct deposits of at least $200 before you qualify for the credit builder card. But
Hmm.
once you do, it's amazing. They report every month, no problem. They don't care what your score is, but it's definitely another tool that you can use. Those are my go-to. And Capital One is also a second chance lender. So if you've had a Capital One card and it got charged off, you didn't do the right thing. Once you pay it off, they'll go ahead and let you open up another account.
Mm.
And you'll just start off with a secured card. If you pay that one time for 6 months, they'll go ahead and give you an increase, and they'll keep giving you increases as long as you're doing the right thing. So there are cards out there for you. You just got to know what to look for. They may have higher than what you want interest rates, but damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like you kind of have to kind of bite that bullet to get where you're trying to go.
Right, right. What interest rate would be too high for a person with trying to establish their credit again?
It's all about what you can afford. So, if you can't afford to pay 25% interest on the purchases you plan on putting on this credit card, then you should not be getting it. I always tell people, if the interest is high, then don't use it for high dollar items. Use your lower interest rate credit cards or cash if it's really that big of a deal. But to be honest, here's how they calculate the interest. So this is the workaround to that. And this applies for everybody, just not just people with low credit scores.
Hmm.
This is how you should be paying your credit card. So I always tell people, stop using your debit card. At any point in time, you need to be swiping your credit card. Even if you have the money for it, swipe your credit card, because the more action you have on your credit card, the higher and higher they'll start offering you credit limits. Even if you got the money to pay, swipe your card. When you get in the car or get in the house, go ahead and set up a payment, pay it off. No big deal. But when it's time to pay your credit card, there's two dates you need to know about: your statement date and then your payment due date. A lot of times it's going to be on your statement. So if it's for this month, so July is about to start tomorrow. So when everybody gets their bills next week, you need to look out for your statement date and your payment due date. So say your due date is on the 7th of July. Cool. All right. You make your payment on the 7th of July, but now you got to pay all this interest. But if you look at your statement date, that's the date that they generate your monthly statement and they report to the credit bureaus as far as, how much money you've been spending. And then that's what they use to charge you interest. If you pay down the balance before the statement date, then they won't charge you a lot of interest because they won't even see all of that money. So, for example, I have
Mm.
$1,000 credit card. I spend $990 all month. 5 days before the end of my billing cycle, or 5 days before my statement date, I'm gonna make a payment. I'm gonna pay $900. I'll probably leave like $90 on there. Like I said, leave a balance. And then they're only gonna charge me interest on that $90. They're not gonna charge me
Mm.
all of this interest. So I
Right,
don't even
right.
really have to worry about what my interest rate is, because they're still not gonna be making a whole bunch of money off of me.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. See, I thought that like if it was a 25% interest rate, I thought it would be, even though you paid it off, it's still 25% on the balance.
So it's all about what your balance is once they look at your account. Let's think of it like that. You gotta think of it like, all right, they look at your account once a month. And so this is actually gonna disprove a theory that I've been seeing populating a lot too. There's people who say that they can trick the system. If you make two payments, it tricks the system and you'll get a higher credit score, something like that. They only look one time. They
Mm.
only report your balance one time to the credit bureaus. So you can pay as many times as you want, but to them it's going to look like one large payment. It's not going to look like 5 or 6 or 7 payments. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So when they look to see what your balance is, if you've paid it all the way down, they can't charge you interest on money that you've paid back already.
Right, right.
Makes no sense. They're only going to charge you interest on the money that you still have sitting on that card. And
Mm.
so that's the hack for people with who really don't want to deal with the high interest rates. I
Right.
tell those people,
Wow.
use those cards for things like Netflix, Hulu, um, you know, Apple Music. Use those high interest credit cards for stuff like that. Don't use
Hmm.
it for major purchases.
Okay. That was my next question, was, if you got, cash, is it good to just, instead of using your cash, use your
Use your credit
card
card.
and
Use your
then
credit card.
pay it off?
You'll hear
Okay.
a lot of rich people talk and you'll say they don't even have debit cards. Yes, they have bank accounts, but they don't have debit cards to those accounts. They use their credit cards and then just pay their credit cards off. That's the
Wow.
key. The more at like you gotta in like I always tell people that your relationship with your credit card lender needs to be a mutually beneficial relationship. You should not be the only one benefiting from this. If they're benefiting from it, they're going to want to be your friend. They're going to be like, hey,
Hmm.
girl, you need some more money? Here's some more money. Ball out. cash
Right.
out.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because they want you to use their cards. That's why they offer things like reward points and miles and things like that. So you want to use those cards as much as possible. Just pay it down with the money that you do have.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. The student loans mess you up in terms of the debt ratio?
No. So like, all right. So I'm not an expert in student loans. Unfortunately, I mean, well, I guess fortunately, I don't have student loans. I joined the military because I knew I wasn't gonna be able to pay for college. But so something new just came out to where like as far as house hunting, they actually lowered the percentage of your student loans that's calculated towards your DTI. So if that was something that was holding some of you back from looking for a home, you definitely should reach out to a lender because they can best explain it to you. But no, it's it's a certain percentage of your student loans, if I'm not mistaken, that's used to calculate towards your DTI for buying a home.
Okay. All right. When someone comes to you and say, "Hey, look, Markia, I gotta get my credit right. I'm ready to get started." What is your process? What is your process in terms of what you do first?
Okay, so if they're coming to me and they're just like, look, I don't even know where to start. I need help. First things first, I send them the link to book something called a credit audit. It's $60. And the reason why I require you to pay is because I need to know that you're taking this seriously. And it's nothing people don't like to do than waste money. If you pay, I know you're going to show up and I know you're going to be ready. So you show up to this appointment. I have you, I do have recommendations on what you should use to pull your credit report. But if you already have it, that's fine. I just ask that you email it to me at the start of your appointment. And we literally sit on Zoom side by side and we comb through your entire credit report. I'm talking from the spelling of your name to the addresses of all the creditors at the end of it. We go line by line, and I'm telling you exactly what's holding you back, what's reporting positive. Hey, have you ever seen this before? Are you sure that this is you who made these charges? Like, we're looking at anything we possibly can to maybe get it removed. I also ask about your goals. Some people just have unrealistic goals. They want to buy a house next week. They have a 400 credit score and they want to, they only got 3 months until they got to get out of their apartment. Those are not realistic goals. I'm
Right.
looking for
Right.
people, the average client is with me 6 to 9 months. It extended a little bit because of COVID. They were taking a little bit longer to respond. But now that they're starting to kind of get back on track, it's 6 to 9 months, and I want people who's willing to put the work in. And so I explain everything to them during the meeting. There's no blanket plan. There's no buy one and it works for everybody, one size fits all plan to fixing credit. There are things that work for some that won't work for others because it's all about what's on your credit report. Your credit report is like your fingerprint. It's unique to you. So I have to give you a personalized plan to fix it. Now, during this appointment, you are not obligated to sign on as a client of mine. I actually get more people who want to do it on their own, or they already have somebody, but they feel like they don't trust them. They feel like they're not doing what they're supposed to. So then I tell them exactly what should be happening and at what stage. And then they take that game plan and then they go off into the world and they either fix it themselves, they'll hire somebody new, or they'll come back to me and be like, look, I tried what you said and I'm not understanding. I want to hire you. For me, it's more so about kind of opening their eyes to the opportunities that are available. There's so many ways that you can skin a cat. But I tell you for me, what I think will work the best for your credit profile. And I'm pretty sure, a lot of people are like, man, but so and so said this and so and so. I get a lot of that. Well, I heard, somebody told me, my sister, cousin, baby father. So I also spend a lot of that time kind of unlearning some stuff,
Busting those
right? I got
myths.
to
Yeah.
reteach you.
It's always
But
yes.
it's more so educational than anything.
Yeah.
And if you do the appointment and you want to be a client, I do deduct the cost of the credit audit from your first fee because I feel like you took that time out, you put that work in to meet with me and to go over this. And so I'm going to go ahead and take that off your hands. You've already paid that due. You know what I'm saying? So I take that off the first works fee for any of my clients because now we in this together.
Right.
I'm really big on communication. I'm really big on, honesty. You'd be surprised how many people lie to me. And then I pull up your credit and this is nothing like what you told me.
Exactly.
Like, I was gonna have to look at your credit at some
Exactly.
point,
And they
right?
still do it. They still
Yes.
do it. Like you're not gonna pull it up.
And it's so funny, but I want people to be comfortable with me. Even if you don't use me, I always tell people, you need to be comfortable with whomever you choose to fix your credit because you're giving them access to the most intimate parts of you. It's stuff when people credit report that their parents or their loved ones, their wives or their husbands don't even know. So you definitely want to be with somebody who makes you feel comfortable. You definitely want to be with, partner with someone who doesn't make you feel stupid. You don't want to feel like an idiot. I
Right,
never
right.
want anybody to feel like ashamed that they don't know or afraid to ask a question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I'm talking, I be having clients messaging me at 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm up right with them, responding to them. Cause like,
Right.
I want them to know that everything that you ask is important. Everything that you have to say matters because you matter. And the only way to really, fix this, the mindset that surrounds bad credit is by making myself so available, making it such an easy conversation and making it so that you trust me.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you got to trust me.
Right. Right. And I always say, when it comes to these credit repair agencies and stuff like that, and you can probably apply this to any type of service you get. You're going to get three types of agencies. You're going to get one who just don't care. They just want the money. You're going to get another one that just does the bare minimum that they have to do. And then you're going to have people like, such as yourself, who are going to actually, like, they're going to be in it with you. It's like, it's a team thing. And you care. I can tell right now you care. I had someone on here. We were talking about real estate, and she every client she got, she went above and beyond to make sure they were okay, make sure like it was a team thing. And I see that same thing with you. I think you're very passionate about what you do, and you care, and it's not about money for you. It's about, okay, we all gonna be powered. We all gonna get in this and win it together. Because if we all have the knowledge, it's no stopping us. You know what I mean? It's just like we just
Exactly.
gonna keep going. You get better, I get better, and we all get better, and everybody's better. And now we walking past each other, smiling and nodding our heads. So
Mhm.
that's what I see in you, and I just want to commend you for the work that you do. I can tell that you work hard. So, um,
Thank you so much.
there. Let me ask you this. Um, do you cringe? I don't know if you ever saw it, but if you ever seen it, do you cringe? Because I've been guilty of doing this. Shame on me. When I got to college, I wanted to, you got the, when you first get there as a freshman, you got all these people out there, you know.
Yes, but like I give you $1. I give you some
Yes.
candy if
And
you
then
sign
them
up for this
M&Ms,
program.
man, them M&Ms got me $2,000. I was like, yo, them M&Ms
Woo,
got them
yes.
plain. It was the plain and the peanut. Them peanut M&Ms got me $2,000. I got that. Then I got a calling card. Me and my wife, because I met my wife in college. Me and my wife was doing it up, yo, and I'm like, they got me, man. They got me. Like, they're like, yo, we got to break this down and start paying this stuff here because, I don't even think I would have messed with it cause I just wanted that candy. What do you think when you see that? You'd be like, oh, do you like feel like going over there saying
So
no?
often. It happens so often. And I be wanting to say something to people when I be out and I see that. I be looking at people like, ma'am, do not go. Oh my God, this lady done went over there. Like I be wanting to tell something to people so bad. So I actually, so funny you said that. I started a program back in December. It's called the Building Blocks Initiative. And it started at one place, and I was just giving these classes on Zoom, and now it's a little bit of all over the place. I've partnered with like the Detroit City Public Schools, Jersey City, Baltimore City, where I'm from.
Be more
I've also
stand
worked
up.
with Towson. Yes, I've done with Towson University, Loyola University. Like I've given classes all over to like high school junior, seniors, like college freshmen, sophomores. Really teaching them about credit because they'll get the pretty pictures in the mail of people having a good time just swiping, and they don't really understand the concept of credit. And that's like the biggest thing, especially from kids who don't, they come from nothing. They don't
Right.
have any money. So
Right.
then when they get access to these lines of credit, they ball out. They're not used to this. So I give these classes and these workshops for free, and I offer one-on-one sessions with parents and their children to really break down what credit is before they're exposed to that life, before they're exposed to having to make that decision. Because I want to be proactive instead of reactive. My
Right.
ultimate goal is
Right.
to put the credit repair industry out of business. You feel what I'm saying? I want to make it so that these things, you won't even need me in the future. Like you'll be like, credit repair, girl, my credit score probably better than yours. Like, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I It's available on my website to book a session. It's completely free. All I ask is that if your child is under 18, the parent is required to be on the call, whether it's separately or just in the same room. But I'm literally just teaching them about what to do, what not to do when they get these credit cards, alternate ways to build their credit as opposed to giving them their own credit card right out the gate, and things like that.
Wow.
Because I just feel like, a lot of parents set themselves up for failure too. They'll open up a credit card and then just give it to the kid. So then they rack it up, not understanding. And then so now they're scrambling, trying to, fix stuff, or you'll have the parent who's putting stuff in the kid's name and then not paying the bills because they just didn't know how to fix their own credit. So, we're trying to avoid that whole situation, because now with them knowing, they're gonna be like, oh girl, you can keep them M&Ms. I'm good. I'll go eat at the cafeteria.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, go buy my own.
we want to avoid that. Yeah.
Right. So this is the last question. I'm gonna let you get out of here after this. In terms of your credit report, how do you get it? How do you get your credit report?
I'm so glad you asked. So you can get it for free. So because of COVID, they have it so that you can get it free once a week, all 3 of your credit reports for free once a week at www.annualcreditreport.com. Now, normally you only get 1 free credit report a year, but thank God for COVID, because now everybody got bad credit. So they're allowing us to pull it once a week.
Wow.
I prefer having a credit monitoring service, because these credit reports that you're pulling will not have a score attached. So now you're going to be looking like, well, dang, what's my score? Because I promise it's not whatever you're looking at on Credit Karma.
Right.
As far as credit monitoring software on my website, I do have a couple suggestions like Smart Credit, ID Club, Identity IQ, those sort of things. But you definitely want to be proactive instead of getting denied for something and now you want to look at your credit.
Right.
I highly suggest that you're pulling your credit reports. There's no reason that somebody should be able to surprise you by saying that you owe them money. You should already be tracking because you done pulled your credit report a couple of times.
Right. Well, I mean, that's going to do it for today. Oh my gosh, what a lot of information. And it's crazy because I'm going to go back and just listen to this again, because I can give some knowledge to some people too. Like, I work with families, so I can pass it on. And, it was a lot. I should have been taking some notes, but I didn't, because I'm recording this and I can go back and watch it. But it's some good information. I'm definitely going to pass it on. I appreciate you coming on. Can you just give us your website and the name of your company one more time?
Yeah, so my company is called The Money Plug. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, TikTok, you name it, I'm there. My Instagram handle is THEE Money Plug. My Facebook group is called Plugged In the Credit Clubhouse. My Facebook page is The Money Plug, LLC. My TikTok is themoneyplug.co, which is also my website, not .com, .co. But I'm literally anywhere. I'm verified business on Google. So if you go in there, they now have an option where you can message me if you have any questions. There's also a chat feature on my website if you just got like specific questions that you want to answer, that you want answered. I go live every Friday at 8 p.m. in my Facebook group, on Twitter, and on Instagram and TikTok. I just try so hard to get all of this information out to as many avenues as possible. So I definitely want to thank you for allowing me to come on the show. This was fun.
Definitely,
I love it.
Definitely
Have a fan. Let me tell you, I done watched a couple of your videos since you reached out to me. So you definitely have a fan, and definitely keep doing what you're doing, because you're putting the right people in the spotlight to really make some changes. And I'm definitely honored to have been a part of it.
Thank you. I appreciate you. That was very kind words, and right back at you, Markia, because that, you're excellent. You're great. Your greatness shows in everything in the words you speak. And everybody needs to be appreciated, and when they do something good, and you're doing a lot of good things. I appreciate you. I appreciate your information. I appreciate you giving it out to people and wanting people to know it. It makes a huge difference with people like you in this world, and I thank you for it. Thank you so much. So
thank you. That means a lot to me.
Yes,
so thank you so much.
Yep. So we're gonna get out of here, Markia. The intro's going to go out, but I want you to stay on. But we're going to get out of here now. I want to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And just, be good and be safe. And we love y'all. All right. And we're out of here. See y'all later. All right. All right. And
Thank you for watching the Speak Now Hold Your Peace live broadcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and join us on the Speak Now Hold Your Peace Facebook group.